I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Very, very good.
Good. Really good to see you guys.
Very excited to chat because we literally just finished the show like maybe 30, 40 minutes ago.
You'll be the first people we'll be chatting.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Fun.
wow. Yeah. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, am I going first, Javi Koe?
Yeah, you go ahead. You kick it off. I've talked to them many times.
Okay. All right. Well, this is exciting. I noticed, at least for the first few episodes, that the titles of the episodes were song titles. And I don't know if like later on they're still song titles because I'm not really up on my Hindi songs. What's the whole process for that? Do you have a song in mind and you're like, I'm going to write this episode around the song? Or is it that you already wrote the episode and you're like, oh, I can think of a good song to kind of throw in here and it's just going to do that?
It's the latter, it's the reverse. So obviously we wrote the episodes, we have the story, and then now we're thinking, what's the song that can come into this episode?
What's funny is that we actually wanted to name our episodes as song titles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it started, of course. And then it started diluting because there's too many legalities, too many licenses to get. So it goes there.
And also sometimes, even though a song fits the episode very well, it might not encapsulate the entire episode in some cases. So we chose a title that would, sometimes it is a song title, sometimes it's something that describes the episode better. For example, the first episode title is Inside Every Human is a monster, right? So that kind of encapsulated that better than Waiting for a Girl Like You, which is the song.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This is kind of a two-part question. How long because off of your question, how long has this been called Guns and Gulaabs? And how long was this show cooking before it hit pre-production?
It was actually not called Guns and Gulaabs. We had a working title called The Backbenchers or The Last Benchers.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay.
Basically, it's about people, the inconsequential people that are in the back and that are usually not visible. And the idea is to put spotlight on them and see how interesting they get. So all these guys in our show are kind of not the heroes. They're not like, they don't come in as the go-getters and the leaders.
Yeah.
They're the guys who are happy to be invisible or to other people, inconsequential in a way. So we used to call it The Last Benchers. So if you see the show, there's a bit of reference to it. All the vehicles, because it's a fictional place, Gulaabganj, and all the number plates on the vehicles are all TLB.
Oh, gotcha.
So that's like The Last Benchers.
So off of that, are there any people in real life that you know that kind of help to inspire the characters in the story, or do you feel like you're kind of talking about yourselves in some way? Like, what makes you focus on these guys?
I think the school kids story was a little more coming from, I think, our experiences of being school, like me, Raj, and Suman Kumar. Like, we went to school around the same time literally in the same place. Like, Suman and I went to high school together in one place, and Raj went to a school that was like in a place that's like 60 kilometers away, which is not very far away, actually.
Yeah.
So that's our entire. So we had shared childhood experience.
So some of the incidents from we always wanted the 9th grade. It's not even the 10th grade, because we always felt there's a transition from 9th to 10th. So some of the stuff, the girl coming in, the whole deal there, it was all like, and the book that have these slightly salacious covers that we had to cover up with papers, and all those things were coming from the 9th grade times.
Yeah.
It's the idea started from there, but then it couldn't have been just that. So we needed a world. So from there, we started developing a mechanic, a guy who's, again, as simple as, not even a bike, it's just a bike mechanic, not even a car mechanic.
Did you think he was actually originally going to be a cycle shop puncture person, except
it's just a guy who does little punctures, like, fix the punctures on the tires. That was it. So it was simple like that. And the guy, the boss, the son of the boss, who you don't think is important at all, and he just doesn't want to be part of it. And they're all reluctant too at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
of these guys are reluctant too. So that's the common theme amongst all 4 stories, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's so interesting because, like, I was kind of feeling like, now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's quite clear. But I was kind of like, oh, I feel like it's about identity as well, because like everyone was kind of, they thought they were one thing, and then circumstances happened, and they either had to like step up or turn into maybe a more truer representation of who they actually are.
It is a growing
or bring out the latent bad
devil in them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
devil in them, right? I mean, they all ideally they would want to be nicer people, and they think this is who they are, but
Yeah.
either whatever reasons, now they're bringing that other person inside them, and that's the personality that takes over.
It's also a coming of age story for
Yeah.
everyone. They're all coming of age in their own way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, all of these combined, I guess.
After finishing the show, I was just so impressed at how cohesive everything was. Like every setup had a very clear payoff, by the end of it. That's why I'm asking my first question, or the last question I'm asking one more time is, how long were you guys kind of like brewing this one for before it finally was able to hit pre-production for you guys?
See, most of our stories, they brew for a very long time.
Okay.
Like, Stree was one of the stories that's been brewing for like 15 years or so. I don't even remember.
Wow.
And Farzi, for example, was there in a different format for another decade. So The Family Man had all kinds of formats to it. The story was going in various directions for a long time. This one, the ninth grader story has been there forever.
Yeah.
Right. And then Suman and I were discussing, and then we wanted these gangsters, the local gangsters, which were always fascinating as you go to school and you hear of these crazy gangsters, and this guy who's good with who got stabbed 17 times but still managed to live. And all those things. So the snippets were in the mind, but there was no cohesive template for a long time. And in fact, I think this is one of the stories which fell in place faster than the others have.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The characters, the snippets were there, but this intertwining, this whole.
I think that's the beauty of writing anything that's a multi-story format, right? We've always loved this. I mean, our student or learning film that we made in the US was called Flavors, where there were like 4 different stories, which eventually intertwine and come together in a climactic moment.
That and Shore in the City.
And Shore in the City, we deliberately decided we are not going to tie up all stories because we thought we were too cool for that. And and now here we again thought, it'll be beautiful that while everybody has their independent arcs, they all come together for a cohesive climax.
And Javi, that coming together, what happened was, we had all these ideas, we had all these arcs, we had all these grays, and how each one evolves, and we had this really exciting ideas for a couple of characters. But what happened was we were shooting Farzi, and then there was a second lockdown. And we were stuck in this hotel in Goa, and we had a chance to go back home. Like there was we could get on the road and just go, but we decided to stay back there. And then I remember just 4 of us were there in that place, sweet little place, and then
It's an entire resort.
Wow.
There. Everything that a resort comes with, cottages
I
and
was
everything.
trying to make it like a humble resort, but we're in this exotic resort.
It's a humbly exotic. It's a humbly exotic.
Sure.
It's very nature friendly, like stone
Is it humbly
cottages.
exotic or exotically?
Yeah, either one of those.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we somehow borrowed these whiteboards, put up there, and started drawing this extremely complicated 6th and 7th episode where things had to really, really come together. And as we were drawing it, doing all kinds of stuff, you're going back and fixing a lot of things. So that was an exciting time, for like a good solid a month of just that intertwining happened, because we were just sitting there and thinking we can do better. We can do an explosive climax, and how do we do it? So a lot of things went back and started changing. Characters changed, people changed, and how we wanted to put it together. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, we always it's gonna be a long episode too. So we decided it's gonna be a double episode, like a double feature. The climax episode, it's double length.
I thought that was a great decision.
That was really,
Yeah.
that was a really, really good decision. It felt like watching a movie. And yeah, no, I won't say too much because I don't want to get into spoilers or anything. But yeah.
You could have easily made it into a 2 episodes. The platform is always happy if we give them 8.
Yeah.
But we really wanted people to view it as one episode, but it's too long for an episode, so we made it look like a feature.
Yeah. No, it was great. It was a good decision.
It was long, but it didn't feel long, if that makes sense. Because,
No.
like, while we were watching it, I was kind of like, wait, this is a double feature, because it was so exciting, because you really succeeded in just kind of bringing everything together. And that's you kind of answered it. In my mind, I'm almost imagining that when you were doing all of the work behind the scenes to like make sure that everything was cohesive and things were paid off, because I felt like pretty much everything got paid off. I'm like imagining, like in those movies or shows where they're trying to find the serial killer and you've got like threads going on, like, this person's connected to that person. I don't know if it was like that at all, but that's kind of what it was in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And the time, the chronological time was also like, logically was a challenge. Asking, okay, so you start breaking down the name. At what time does this character go? At what time does that character do this? So you have to be very careful, right, for the logic to fall apart also, because there's a sense of everything happening in one town and everybody, like somebody reaches a place before the other person. So there's a logistical time also that comes into play.
Yeah.
Were there any, while you were trapped in Goa in your hotel, were there any films that you were revisiting while developing this? Because I felt like I was seeing stylistically and thematically some stuff that was inspired by films I'm familiar with. Going into it, I just assumed, this will be largely inspired by Indian stuff I don't know about, but then I started to recognize some things. But I was just curious if there was anything in particular that you guys took direct inspiration from, or any filmmakers you took direct inspiration from.
No, not really. No. Usually, even when shooting especially, we don't, I don't think we watch movies and see if we can get in that mood. I think it's all there in the head. You've seen enough.
Right.
You have reservoirs of a lot of things that you've seen, and you tap into it.
Yeah.
But
and
only when
we've done this
something.
format before, right? We've done this multiple stories coming together format before. It's quite exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Every time when some small thread gets added up, it's super exciting.
But no, haven't. It's really all of this. You just brainstorm and start writing it. I can't think of any references actually, and we didn't want a specific reference. I know people. I can see comments, people saying this film, that film, and all that. It's all good. It's all fun.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so you weren't jabby in the reaction.
You were making me really nervous for a second. I'm like, he's going to be so mad at me when he sees the reaction. Because I'm like calling out this and this. I'm like, it feels just like this thing over here. Okay, it's good to know.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it. I like listening to and watching those things that it reminds people of something specific, and I might not even watch the film.
Yeah.
I might not even know about the film, but yeah. You did say something about Big Hit.
When you were watching the trailer, you said it reminded you of Big Hit, the Mark Wahlberg film, which I remember watching a long time back.
Yeah.
And I understand why you say that, because it's just the spirit of that film. It's, of course, it's very urban and cool and modern in nature, and it's all these, professional killers, contract killers, living a normal life.
Yeah.
Right? Suddenly you come home and you have to deal with your father-in-law, kind of a thing. So I can understand the spirit of it, but I don't think I don't think that film came to mind at all, because the milieu of this is very different. But I think it's a question of marrying contract killer or something bizarre like that with a slice of life kind of a scenario. Like even they have to tend to their in-laws, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so what if you're a contract killer? You still have to pick up your kid from school.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it's just the spirit of it. Yeah.
To be honest with you, when we were watching it, the Big Hit completely left my mind. But I definitely felt the Raj and DK isms throughout the show that I think all of us come to love, that we all come back for.
Yeah.
In particular, what you're kind of talking about, which is sort of like the slice of life stuff that we all kind of deal with. And it's like cool to see it with these characters that we have nothing to do with, whether it's like gangsters or whatever. It's like even they have problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have their problems. They have the smallest of the problems. That's what we focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah, they run out of petrol.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. You cast some amazing actors in the show, and I thought that there was like this really nice balance between just kind of, what felt like to me just allowing them to do their thing and just kind of either going in close or just letting them do whatever it is that they're doing in the scene. And then there were certain moments where I was like, oh, this definitely felt like it was, you wanted them to hit a certain rhythm, and it was like, it has to go boom, 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 boom in order to get the comedy. And so I'm wondering, like, as you're working with these talented people, how much of it is, you just going, okay, just, play, go do you, and we'll just put the camera on you. And how much is it like, okay, guys, I need this. Exactly, just do this.
See, our original school of filmmaking, what we started off with was do this. Do this at this point turn, because we wanted that timing. And I think people were on different timings at that point, and we had come in with certain timings to get the right expressions, right humor. Especially our humor wasn't like there was a joke to be told.
Right.
It's really sometimes just a reaction or just the way you stop and you look and things like that. So we used to actually really push for it, and even enact in a bad way and say, okay, you've done this, so you do better now, but this is the idea of this, and don't look up till you finish this, or the camera's going to come in and then you look. All these were very precise for in 99 and a lot of these. And,
even Shore for that.
Even Shore. And a lot of times there is certain framing done, even in here. So this is a mixture of both, is what I'm trying to say. Is that now you have great actors coming in, so you have anybody that they have more to give. So I'd rather see them interpret the scene sometimes and see if is that a better approach. So we went both ways. I think
it depends on the scene. There are certain scenes which you let the actor, what, this is the scene, you have the script, and especially when you have two good actors in a scene, now play off of each other, let it go wild. So we do a rehearsal take, they do a rehearsal take, and we adapt accordingly. And then yet there are other pieces which are very specific in nature, like especially when it comes to like a beat, like a story beat or an action beat or any of those things that's very precise. Then we are like, okay, you have space to say one word here or one line here.
For example, like when Rajkummar Rao had to run and give the letter to the girl, when she's driving away. It was a whole scene that we had planned. Like, we had shots, coverage, different ideas where he'd come and he's nervous and she looks at him, gives the letter, all that stuff. But the way he ran towards her and the way he runs back. So it was right there. It was funny. We knew it was going to be, and we knew already that we shouldn't have sound here. We shouldn't have music here. It should just be like When that happened, we said, you know what? We'll watch from here and not even go there. So we just let the camera be here. So everything happened so far away. You're not even seeing their faces. The fun part is just body language at this point, and the pauses and the time it takes to give the letter, the time it takes for him to run back. So that was done.
There's like a scooter guy that goes past and Rajkummar, right? He does his improv and hey, go. In the middle of the road, he needs his privacy, right? So,
well, that happened, and in for Adarsh scene, one of the scenes he has to go sit in his father's chair, and which is deliberately left empty in the first few scenes. It's like the shot is framed such a way that the center is the
empty chair.
And as if that's your important character, and everybody else is talking around it. That's how we framed it. But then he has to go take it. So that was more precise, like I said. At this point, you say this line, don't make it dramatic, don't make it cool, don't make it like, look what I'm doing. And he did better than that. He just went and flopped in it.
He didn't even sit in it. He just flopped like a lazy guy in this all-powerful, all-important chair.
So that scene you just brought up a moment ago with the bicycle where Rajkummar Rao chases her down stood out to me because it was so different from what I will typically find in Indian cinema. And it's actually largely lost in Western filmmaking as well, except for like some filmmakers that will still take chances like that. And I thought it was very confident and just different that you held like that. And one of my questions I was going to ask later was like, how do you decide when to do that? And is there any impulse to go and get coverage just in case it doesn't work out? Or are you like, no, this is it. We're sticking with this. The studio has to deal with it. You know, like how do you pick those moments?
Not even studio has to deal with it. It's us.
We only have to deal with it.
We have to deal with later. Saying, I told you we should have gotten coverage on this.
Yeah.
But so far we haven't had that problem yet, because I think we started off teaching ourselves editing. So, we know what the edit is going to be.
Okay.
We know exactly what the edit we're going for. So you kind of shoot for the edit. So everybody asks sometimes, we just had one take. You sure, sir? Whatever, should we do it because we can't see that coming in? You give it a thought, but then you realize this is what I want.
Yeah.
So, and we just move on. And we shoot fast too, very instinctively too. Like, the fact that are we gonna do it like how we thought we should? Are we gonna switch completely to what the actor is doing it?
This has happened too. And the short answer for that is a lot of it is instinctive. I mean, we go with plans. Of course, we plan to do it a certain way. We go there, and there is a light reality saying, let's shoot this angle because the sun is there. It's the first thing that happens, and of course, you take that into consideration. Yeah. And then when you see the actor doing something that you hadn't planned, but you like this, then we very quickly adapt to that. Like
even the smaller examples, for example, Dulquer's like he has a phone call, he's waiting for the phone call, both of them are waiting for the phone call, and it rings and pop, it picks up. And the idea we used to be that precise, like, it just has to ring once and you pick up. It shouldn't be like, so it has to have that speed to it, tap, and then it realize, okay, it's not her, no, it's not her.
Yeah.
And then you put it, and pop, it pick up again. And so it has that, like she was, Achara was saying, like boom, boom, happening. And then you have a relief. That he actually go out, you let the camera linger, and the phone rings and he rushes back in. So we don't have to show his tension, his excitement, nothing. It's just here. It's really in the cut, the way it's the whole thing is played out. These are just the smaller examples, but there were a lot in Guns and Gulaabs for that matter.
And I loved all of that. I love the choices you guys were making, and it always makes me wonder, like, there's so much like fast-paced stuff now with TikTok and Instagram, and the show is like, we don't care about any of that. We're doing our way. And I really, really appreciate that, and it's a breath of fresh air.
Talking about like actors and stuff, the great cast that you had, obviously it's not your first time working with Rajkummar Rao. Do you guys have a shorthand with him now, since, you've worked with him before?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Yeah, we do have a...
Yeah, and to start off with, we know what he's capable of, which is pretty much everything, right? So when we are writing, we are not thinking about will the actor pull it off, is not even a question in our mind. So you can write a complicated thing, right? It's not just a question of writing, he's sad, is a simplistic thing. But right now with good actors, you can write something like, he's sad, but the sadness is not evident in his eyes because there is a weight of this happening and there's danger lurking and he's trying to smile through his sadness. I don't know. And and it's possible. It's possible to bring it out.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So shorthand is even with Manoj, because we worked with him, and anybody who we worked with twice now, they get what we're trying to do. And now what's happening with these guys is any of them who we have worked with the second time now, what's happening with them is they're trying to now surprise us. Commonality I'm seeing in all of them, right? Like, who did we work with? Second time, Manoj.
Shahid also.
Shahid later on, Rajkummar Rao, Samantha, all these we have done now twice.
No, they don't show. They don't show in rehearsal what they're going to do.
Oh, really?
They're like, I'm not even video right
they
now.
just zombie through the rehearsal. Okay, there's a rehearsal. Okay, there's this. They're aware, right? I mean, okay, you need to place your camera, so they're going to give you the marks and the blockings, and they're waiting for the take to surprise you. And I'm like, you didn't say this in the rehearsal. Like, yeah.
That's great.
I love that.
Oh my gosh, I aspire to be that talented. You can just hold it.
You're like, I have this secret, and I'm gonna surprise you with it.
But these guys are all really good actors, so they're bubbling with energy. So as the scene is bigger, now the real what they're gonna do is starts to show. They're not that good at hiding it, so it's coming through. So later I see the whole thing between us, and I'll go and say, cut it down. I don't want to see it right now. So I know it's a surprise, so I'll wait for the surprise.
Gotcha. During the action, I don't think I saw the use of squibs at all, and I don't think I see them often used in Indian cinema today. Do you think that they're ever going to come back? Because I like seeing squibs used in action sequences, and I feel like everything is kind of CGI when it comes to that. For the audience, if you don't know what squibs are, it's like they hide it, and so it's like a gunshot and an explosion. It makes it look like a real kill.
Yeah, no, I love squibs. It's the whole idea of that pressing the trigger and going, the whole thing.
Yeah. Only difference is, a lot of films you end up shooting even for gunshots and stuff without actually firing the gun.
Right.
But in Guns and Gulaabs, though, pretty much most of the time the guns were firing for real. Because I think somehow, no matter how good the actor is, and it's not just about the main actor, right? Everybody else, they react a lot better when there's a real flash and a real light and everything.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's possible. It's possible just to point a gun and pull the trigger and put it in post. And a lot of times, filmmakers, or the reason they prefer that is also you can time it exactly. You can get the kind of, the flame or the fire that you want. If especially in modern film, they have these special guns with this X-star flames coming out of it, right? When you fire it.
Yeah.
But for us, we went a little old-fashioned on this one. The falls are all real, the bike falls and everything.
Yeah.
Mostly done real, no ropes, no such thing.
The driving, we made sure that, Raj or whoever is driving the bike did the stunt. It was him as much as possible. So we're shooting live, most of it. The idea was to keep it like how people used to shoot action back then. Squibs, we did use a few, but then again, the problem is the reset.
Yeah.
Especially when we're doing long takes and stuff like that, middle of the night, the resets, and it splashes everywhere.
Yeah.
Now you need a new shirt. Everything
Right.
starts from there.
Yeah.
Every take is a new costume, new setup time. So that's squibs aside,
Okay. That's what I thought that was the case, but it was good to just have confirmation. Yeah.
So you guys were shooting on location. Was it like a small village or a small town that you guys were in?
We went to a town called Dehradun, which is a very sweet place in the state of Uttarakhand. But it is not a small town, it is a big town.
Oh, okay.
But what we did was we went to all these smaller towns or suburbs of this big town where you get a sense of a small town, the kind of town that we grew up in. So everything we shot was around this big town called Dehradun. And up in the mountains, there's another place called Mussoorie. So you have this mountainous terrain and you have these plains and these fields. So everything is just outskirts. So literally every day was a good 45-minute to 1 hour travel from the hotel.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So apart from the travel time, were there any challenges that came from just being on location all the time?
The biggest challenge was COVID. We were shooting
the third wave.
Third wave. We were shooting through it. Most of us went through it, caught it as we were shooting it.
Oh, wow.
Most of us caught it. We were being quite good. We had a really good, all the requirements and all the stuff on the set.
It feels like so long ago since COVID.
Yeah,
right?
We really we spent a lot of money just maintaining all that, but pretty much everybody caught it.
Everybody got one round of COVID at that time. Everybody.
Wow.
And we had backups for everybody. I mean, we have two directors, so one goes down, the other one takes over.
Actually, on that, it made me curious. I noticed that you guys directed every episode of this season, and that's not always the case. I think Suparn Varma was one of the directors of Family Man Season 2. So what made you guys decide to do every episode? Is it a personal reason or just production? Like what?
We went in thinking that we will do a couple of episodes and somebody else will do more. But we were doing nothing there except sitting there.
We got caught up in it so much, man. We were like, honestly, if you ask me, started off saying, we'll just do this and let somebody do this. And then it's like, no, let's do this as well. And let's do this as well. Before you realize we were encroaching into it.
It's like when we were making Stree, and I knew all the characters, all the scenes. They were all from my, what I've seen as in school and college, and of course added a lot to it. And so you want to do every scene there because you know it. You know it in your head exactly what it is. But you sit back because you're the producer now, and as a director, let him do it. Let him do his thing. So, but it was there. Thankfully, I was interactively involved there.
Yeah.
In this case, we were just there with the producers, with the directors. We say, like, why are we not doing it? This is so exciting. This is our kind of story.
Yeah.
This is the funnest story we've done in a long time. Yeah. And so every scene was fun to do.
That's awesome. I have a ton of questions.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
So what was the writing process for this particular show? Because you guys collaborated with Sumit Arora and Suman Kumar, but like you guys are constantly shooting, constantly working. So how were you able to like get the writing going for this? And what was that process?
Yeah, Suman Kumar we worked with before, right? Suman Kumar has written Family Man 1, Family Man 2, and Farzi with us before this was happening. So while we were shooting Farzi to some extent, Suman was handling the ship, and he was doing the writing process. And of course, when COVID struck and everything went into lockdown, we jumped.
I think we wrote a lot of it during COVID.
During
right?
the COVID, yes.
And Farzi we wrote, and then this we wrote during COVID the first time around. But it was a shell, there was a lot of it, but there's quite to be filled. So we started doing it whenever, like I said, our biggest chunk of time was during that second lockdown while shooting Farzi, where we had this resort.
Right.
So that was the
Yeah, I know. So it forced you to sit at home, or so the only job you can do actually is writing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
American producers always say never work with kids or animals. You worked with kids here quite a bit.
They were big kids.
Is the process different working with kids? Yeah, I mean they're young adults, but they're still kids. So like, is the process different versus grown-ups? Like, do you take a different approach?
Yeah, I mean,
it's refreshing to work with.
Yeah.
Their reactions and the way they say things are somehow different, somehow not tainted. Unless, of course, the kids have done tons of ads and they've come, and so they give those ad expressions.
Yeah.
Otherwise, most of these guys just react to how they would. So every one of them had their own way of saying it, and we usually wouldn't correct it.
Oh.
Because that's what was bringing the personality. Except for the timing and the way where to do, when to do. All these four kids, they were doing their own style, their own way. And we used to just catch those things that, where they're trying to be filmy or, ad commercial, stuff like that. Otherwise,
It's in short, it's easier. It's easier for younger people, younger adults or kids or teenagers to adapt than it is for an actor who's been doing this for years and years.
Right.
Of course, if the actor is great, the experience comes, and a really good experienced actor also knows not to fall into a rut or do the same thing that everybody does, right?
Right.
But for kids, they don't even have that problem. They, when you tell them to be natural, it's just a thing about them. They're saying, okay, you don't want me to do it like I've seen in movies. Yeah, talk like how you would talk to your friend, and they start talking like how they do it. So there's no extra baggage to deal with.
Yeah.
So they surprise you every time. I mean, I personally am very, very amazed at how all these young actors, especially the younger ones. Like sometimes there are 6-year-old, 8-year-old actors, young kids, and I'm like, how are they doing this? Where are they getting this ability to do this?
Right. I want to externalize an insecurity I'm feeling at the moment. I got a 10-minute heads up from Pranam that we have to wrap up. So I was just deleting questions on the fly, just to narrow it down real fast. This is a fun one for the audience. Will there be a Family Man Farzi crossover with Guns and Gulaabs?
Netflix and Amazon have to talk
practically impossible.
Had to be asked. I don't know if this is...
I'm sure Netflix and Amazon will love it one day and say like, hey, you know what? Let's do it together.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. Was there any particular thing that you're most excited for people to see in this show? Or it's just like the whole thing?
The whole thing?
The whole thing.
The whole thing.
I assume it's the whole thing, but I'm like, is there any particular like action thing you're like, oh, I can't wait for people to see that right there?
No, I wait for the hospital sequence when that night with Tipu and Atmaram, the whole hospital sequence where he has to shoot him in the crotch. The whole
Oh,
Amazing.
that's right.
And the dialogue play that happens, like
we don't get to do
old
dialogues.
school, very old
usually.
school. one dialogue. You know, that's
one-upping each other. We don't do those. So it was so much fun, and I wait for that sequence, even the bike sequence, where they chased and he's hitting him with a belt because there's some bullet. So
In that hospital scene, were there a lot of versions of that, or was it like it was always going to be that way?
it was always going to be this way.
yeah, this was going to be this.
Okay,
And it's supposed to raise questions as to what exactly happened there.
gotcha.
What happened?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Which gets answered in the next episode, right? Yeah.
If you're allowed to talk about it, were there any temp tracks in the post-production that you guys kind of used to guide some of the editing for yourselves, or you were just hands off on the editing?
No, the music usually. I don't think we put songs, but we did have these songs written in.
The two English songs were already written into the script.
Oh,
And we
really?
were able to get it. In fact, we got them before we went into shoot,
There
which is a
were
rarity.
4 of them. We had four songs that we wanted to put in,
Uh-huh.
and there were actually 3 other Hindi songs as well
Okay.
that we had it in initially. We couldn't afford all of them. We got somehow Brian Adams song and the Foreigner song. We had, of course, November Rain playing, and the second episode. Once a friend dies,
The way
whatever,
it
so
ends.
the whole the way it ends. We had this old song. We actually had it for a very long time. We thought we're surely going to get it.
My last question is there any possibility we can see this short film that you guys talked about early on?
It's our first film school film, like a film school that had
It's
2
the first
students.
film we ever made, but we call it our film school.
Because we were the teachers and students to each other.
So the answer is
Yeah.
yes.
So we had like,
we can see it. It's
We
out
can
there.
see it.
Yeah, we can watch it. We're going to watch it tonight. We're not
it
going to go
doesn't
to bed.
have it doesn't have a platform yet. So I think we're trying to put it on either Netflix or Amazon. One of these
Oh,
days.
okay, cool. So then it's yet to be, well, it's not available to us yet. I'd love to see that.
You better waiting for it. I think we'll remaster it a bit and then upgrade it and then put it up.
It's called Flavors. It's listed on IMDb yet, but I don't think there's many ways for people to watch it at this point. Yeah.
I'll just go down to and get a bootleg version. Anyway, that's all our questions. I think we're out of time anyway. This was such a great show, and I'm so happy that it was made, and you guys did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I'm excited for everyone to get to watch it.
Yeah. Oh, we're still directing, even.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see your reactions, man. One episode at a time.
Yeah. No, I'm very excited. I'm very excited for people to see it, and I hope that it's as well received by the audience as it was for us. Just because, like, I can see the hard work that went into it, and just the planning. It was beautifully done. It was masterful work. So
Thank you.
And we needed that. We needed that after the Family Man 1, 2, Fuzzy, and Cyrodiil, and all this going on. We needed this really fun series where it's no holds barred, go all out, do whatever the hell you want, but it's fun, entertaining. Keep it that way. We've enjoyed doing it, and I know that it's come together pretty well. One of those shows where you feel that, hey, you know what, things do make sense as you watch it. But it's like you said, we wanted our own pace, our own, meter to it, all that. So
Yeah, it's a film where you point a gun at a guy's crotch and now you're having repartee. One-upping.
I mean, this is a little bit premature, but is there any chance of a season 2?
we always have ideas. That's how you write a series, I guess, that you know where it's heading. You always know where it's heading. But don't want to be too, like you said, too premature and think about it right now. Just want to see the reactions first and see how it goes and then take it from there.
I'm sure people will love it. You guys, thanks so much for your time. It was great to catch up with you again.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.